I like the fact that you're being very, very sincere about your analysis, especially with regards to why things on a daily basis that one buys will not remain the same. But one cannot understand or explain the astronomical increase of a particular commodity to the tune of 300% because we have to buy it on a daily. Yes, you've also attributed it to come from insecurity. And I could remember on this same table sometime last year, because good enough, this is the first time we're having you, so it's okay for us to review so far what government have been able to do to resolve this. We have the CNC in charge, but unfortunately he's not in the country. So how does he feel the plight of people? I have an Uber driver that has a family of 6. He buys 4 loaves of bread to take home on a weekend. Now looking at the cost of bread, how much can this Uber man afford looking at the number of families to feed? Before now, you gave us a feeling that let us give this new government a chance so that they can be able to at least look at what is on ground and hit the ground running. And he made a statement that yes, situation of things was very bad when he took off, but of course, we're going to move on a baby step of paying. This is 8 months down the line. What would you say as regards any form of policy that has been put in place that saw the light of day to make sure that there is a cushioning effect on the living cost of Nigerians? Because as it stands today, I don't think Nigerians are already in any way singing the praises of the renewed hope. So what is your view as regards the future of Nigerians as we move down further into the system of things?
Yeah, thank you very much, Josh. I have this to say that whatever policy you put in place and you don't address security, you seems not to go anywhere. And I've said it times with that number that rejigging the security chiefs, I don't think is the way to go. But strategizing on the approach to security might be a lasting solution. Quite disappointing that the current IGP used to be a preacher who upheld community policing or state policing before he assumed office. But all of a sudden, that seems to be something that is really not on the front burner for the administration. You see, if we are able to tame security, it has gotten to the level that we are talking about kidnapping people. Are you aware that the assets of some of the utility companies are actually being stolen on daily basis? And that on its own impacts the businesses that people are doing. The cost of alternative power supply is not even there for them to survive. So first and foremost, I would say you can have good policies, the fiscal policy, the monetary policy, the agricultural policy. If there is insecurity in the land, there is no how prosperity can grow. And that's why I'm just putting before the president, this is high time we must reverse and do things differently. Decentralize the power that we have at the center in terms of security. Can we have a situation where states will be held responsible? Just yesterday, 2 days ago, when this happened in Ekiti, we saw the governor came out and say we'll track the perpetrator of these ills, and I'm asking myself, do we have to wait until we lose high-ranking person like a traditional leader before we react to it? And it's part of the bottom line to say, sorry, the chief security officer of the state is the governor. There should be parameters to hold him accountable for the safety of the citizen that is actually governing. You trickle it down to the local government. You trickle it down to the traditional leaders. So I ask myself the question, while we're growing up, and I'm sure you have that feel, it's difficult for you to even pass the front of Oba's palace. You'll be scared. There is this fear of
there's a consciousness.
That consciousness that you are actually, moving in front of the palace of the Oba. You dare not touch an Oba. You across board, not only in the southwest or east, even in the north, you have that regard for any Oba of any category, not the high ranking one, even the so-called ballets, in the local area. But these days, they are the main target.
And I ask myself, if you take away the leadership, how do you expect those areas where there's Oba are taken now? Nothing is going to happen there, because who is going to give the direction? It's just like taking away the managing director of a firm. I'm sure you know there will be disorder, because everybody now wants to play their cards in such a way that it will favor them. So I feel that they are going in terms of fiscal policy, monetary policy, agricultural policy. All those policies are good. You can write them on paper. But if we don't have the right security architecture in such a way to nip it at the bud, and why are we advocating for community policing? Is that if 3 of us stays in the end state and we know ourselves, we can start gathering database. When you come in, I want to know what Josh is doing. I want to know what Uche is doing. If suddenly I'm seeing Josh, who is riding a Toyota Camry, suddenly go ahead and buy a 2023 Land Cruiser, within the community we should ask questions. Lot of this money that the kidnappers are taking are in the hands of people, and they are spending it in our community. Gone are those days when you can ask questions. And it's because when you even get information, they tell you that if you see something, say something. Who are you reporting to? Just this morning I read on the headline that 2 police officers were actually suspended, in Ogun State for armed robbery. Does that make sense? These are the people that you are supposed to confide in, but they are the one that expose those information. And I keep saying it, the greedy nature in every individual has gone 1000% higher than what we used to be, because we have lost our values. What we celebrate most now, it's about money. Somebody comes in and he lavishly spend money on everybody. You start ailing him, no question. People go to religious houses. If you have so much money, you give, they celebrate you. We must go back to the core value, where people can ask questions. 2, where you can conveniently, comfortably, and have the boldness that if I report this to the police or to the security agency, there will definitely be an action on their part. Whatever policy you are putting in place, whether fiscal, whether monetary, whether agriculture-wise, and there is insecurity, nothing can speak out of that place. And what is actually happening now is that we lose our guard in allowing kidnapping to now be a business venture, because majority of the people before now that have been caught, you see, we have funny way of addressing issue in this country. During corruption, if they pick anybody, I'm sure you know the language they use. My lawyer friend will say, is still an allegation that is obvious to us that this money has been stolen. We saw this person before he took office, and all of a sudden this is what he's doing, and you're still telling me he has not misappropriated fund. Is he there actually to enrich himself or to create development to it? And you hear for years it's an allegation. We are looking at it, allegation, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Now we are just hearing we have actually picked this suspect, we have picked that suspect. We have not seen any of them that have actually been punished one way or the other. It looks like the accusation of an average citizen telling you that even when you go there to go and report to the security agency, all you are doing is that you have announced to them for them to enrich themselves. And these are problems that we are faced with. Whatever policies that we are putting in place, if we are not addressing the issue of security, we are going nowhere. And that's why we are putting it before the president. Quite disheartening that at this point the president had to go on a private visit to France, and some of us have actually called it out to say, Mr. President, there is no reason for you don't have a private life. We want to know everything that the president is doing so that the country can be carried along. There will be surprises, but as we speak, he's out there with the NSA, and the country is having so much unrest. 2 days ago, it used to be in the north, now it's in the west. We've had issue in Ekiti, we have issue in Ogun State, and this is putting so much pressure on the little resources we claim to be having, because inflation has eaten deep into everything we are doing. The cost of living of an average Nigeria is not even zero, it's negative. People are struggling to make ends, and that's why I feel government need to be intentional. If you can solve the problem of security, I can decide to have my goods during the day, move at night, deliver to my client, come back the next day to start, doing my work. These are the ways that we used to do it years back. 10 years back, I don't travel during the day. I love traveling at night. Why? The environment will be cool. I know I can see, long distance. So I feel going at night. But these days, just tell someone that you want to travel from here to Ekiti as we're speaking. They will ask you, why are you going on suicide mission? Are you not aware of what is happening there? Everybody, people in diaspora start calling you. Are you safe? Even where you are staying in Lagos, are you sure you are safe? People are not working. Have you even observed that if you go to church, we now have minimal testimony of the good doings of God? Because as soon as you're giving the testimony, people are running after you to collect their own share. Those days when you will be boastful to say, God has done this for me, I want to appreciate God. People are now hiding themselves, and we see day by day this improvement. So every other policy that you want to say, they are doing it, but we cannot feel the impact if this level of insecurity continues. Before now, some states can be identified as a very peaceful state where you can lay your heads and go to bed. But it's becoming a different story now. Ekiti used to be a very peaceful place. We used to know then, during the time of the late Akere Dolu, where they had headlong in Ondo State some of the people that are actually attacking them, and that was what brought the setting up of undertaken. I don't like the approach of being reactive to issue. Now we are hearing the police is joining forces with NCDC, with the vigilante group and all this thing. Is this what we should be doing after we've lost life? People are now demanding for 100 million. I've asked, when some of these ransoms are paid, are there no intelligence gathering to even show the first people that have been there? The stories we hear is that when you even see the kidnappers, you cannot see the money on them. That means they are just an instrument being used to perpetrate the act. Those that are actually doing those things are behind the scene. Can we unravel this thing?